and it's outside. Another attorney commercial with big promises, millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Hey there, crew. Good morning. I am Matt Meister here. You are watching Peaks2Plains Weather. This is Mornings with Meister. We do it every Monday through Friday morning at 6:30, and we go as long as we need to go. Getting toward the end of March here and the start of April, and we have some changes that are on the way. I went to Indiana over the weekend and saw my son race in a track meet. He runs for Taylor University, does cross country and long distance track. Brought him and his roommate back for their spring break, which you might be saying, well, that seems a little bit late, especially for a college. His college has a J term, so everybody does a class in January. And so their spring breaks later, they get out later because of that. But it's really good to have him home, and he's kind of going to miss some of this record heat that we have had around here. I'm going to head over to the weather wall, going to do a couple of things here, and then we'll do check in with you guys and see how you are on this Monday, talk about a couple other things that happened over the weekend, and we'll get right to it. So let's go. Let's get over to the weather wall here. Yesterday, we tied a record in Colorado Springs. Second day in a row we did that. Pueblo, we tied a record as well. Alamosa set a record on Sunday. And a lot of us were dry. I did get this photo from Rachel Wright, who was driving back from Oklahoma through Calhan. You can see the base of what wanted to be a thunderstorm there, and you can see that it did get a little bit wet. Couple raindrops there on the windshield as well. That was the exception rather than the rule. A lot of us had some virga and some gusty wind picking up. Outside this morning, it is 41 for Lamar. We're warmest right up against the hills. That's pretty typical for this time of year, and so is the chilliest spots in the big mountain valleys. where we're below freezing in a couple areas. That's an indication of how dry the air is. And speaking of dry, yesterday was the last day of boarding and riding at Monarch, and man, look at that. Even during the day yesterday, I mean, you can't look at it, the rocks are coming out. That's how quick the snow is melting up there. And I'm not meaning to highlight Monarch. It's crappy everywhere. I mean, the snowpack compared to average is less than 10% of average in the southwestern part of the state. I just updated these numbers this morning. 12% snowpack in the Arkansas Basin. And where we are doing best, we are 8% below average. So it's not good news, my friends. Statewide, we are less than a quarter of average on the snowpack. Now, this is kind of complicated, but I'm going to break it down because I think it's important. So this is from a data set called SnowTel, which are automated sensors in the mountains that measure the snow water equivalent. And so what you see here is over time, like all of the years are actually plotted in here. So this was the highest year of snowpack. This wasn't 1 year. It's just for each date, what was the maximum of the data set. And then on the other end of the spectrum in the red here is the minimum of that data set. The black line is where we've been this year. 2.5 weeks ago, I made a forecast, and it's actually worked out pretty good. I'd never made a snowpack forecast before, actually, but I looked at what the pattern was, and we were going to get a little bit of snow, and it worked out really, really well. On the years where you have less snowpack, you hit the peak earlier than on the years where you have more snowpack. But here's where we are today. Here's where we are today. Here was the previous minimum. That's a historical gap of some deep, deep significance. So this has just been an awful, awful start. It wasn't a great start. It was a not great end to the snowpack year as well. So that's something I want to talk about there that we'll keep sort of focusing on. I've been looking at some other data of some of our rivers, some of our neighboring states, and it's just not good everywhere. Utah has been as poor as we are. Let's bring in a guest this morning. I love when we can have people join us here, and we will bring in this is my buddy Jim Martin this morning. Jim, how are you?
Doing well, Matt.
Dude, you look. I mean, you're like
cool outdoor.
Yeah, you're starting to do production stuff. I'm gonna have to get you some lights and stuff, man.
Something like that.
You've got a jacket on this morning. That means it's a little bit cool. You're probably out there doing your quiet time. What'd your fam do over the weekend?
Oh, our son got back from building a house in Mexico, so that was fun. And
that's cool.
then
How'd that go?
He gave it an 11 out of 10, so that was good. So
nice.
But now he's back home, so
praise God. That's awesome. Sometimes those perspective things can be very impactful in all of our lives, but especially with how old your son is. That's good news to hear. That makes me happy.
Yep. So
nice.
And then the organ at the church went to the concert there, and that was just a beautiful concert.
Nice. Okay. Well, Jim, like me, goes to First Pres downtown, put a new organ in, had to do a celebratory thing. Jim, what did you think when you saw the snow there, that shot I showed at Monarch? Hard to believe, right?
I know. I think I got a half a day in on my pass this year. So,
well, everybody, I'm not like a hyper about Super El Nino and all. Like, I'm not going to hype that stuff. I think that's silly to do. But man, it's hard to imagine that next year is going to be worse than this year. Right?
Yes, that is hard to imagine.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is incredible. Jim, 2 chances of moisture this week. Are you excited about at least having a chance?
I am. I did spend some time getting some fertilizer and some weed and feed, getting ready for the season.
Okay, well, it is time to go. Jim, thanks for checking in this morning. I appreciate it, my friend. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with the forecast. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on me.
Here's to 150 years of the state we call home.
At Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our deals, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
And you should sign up for Peak Alerts. I want to take a moment to thank all of my partners that have made Peaks2Plains Weather possible. Getting to the end of the first quarter of Peaks2Plains of the year here. It is shot by for me, I can tell you that. Peaks2Plains was actually in the Gazette yesterday on the front of the business section. You can find that on their website if you'd like to read a little bit about it. They talked to a gentleman named Mike Witcher, who used to do weather here a long time ago. I want to say he was here from about 2004 to 6 or something like that, but Mike is doing something similar to what I am doing in eastern Tennessee, and it was very nice of him to be willing to talk about kind of what he's doing and kind of, you know, how things are changing and how we look for information differently from how it has been kind of in the past. And so that's something that certainly I appreciate from Mike. I want to show you Peaks2PlainsWeather.com here because you can get my forecast on there anytime you'd like. This is what the homepage looks like. If you haven't been there, I know there's some new people watching this morning. I've got the control center here where you can look at radar, you can look at future down here, you can set, you know, storm track, lightning, you can save maps to come back. You can get my forecast. This is pretty similar to what's in the app there. You can read about what I've got on the way for tomorrow, my detailed forecast there for where you are. You can set your city in there. You can save it to come back into the future as well. And you can talk about the extended forecast down the road. You can do all kinds of good things in there. There's our live stream. You can download the Peaks2Plains Weather app. That is the best way for me to get a hold of you, my latest videos, all kinds of stuff. The deep information that I wrote about the snowpack on there as well in the weather blog. You can support Peaks2Plains Weather partners. You can check them out here under the advertise. You can see all of the businesses that are making Peaks2Plains Weather possible. And so that's something that I'm really, really proud of. And if you have a local business that you would like to advertise with here on Peaks2Plains Weather, we would love to have you for sure. And that's something we're always looking to grow to do here, all of the businesses that are making Peaks2Plains possible. All right, let's jump into the forecast here. We're going to head over to the weather wall and we're going to get to it. And I'm going to give it all to you right now because for the week ahead, we've got some changes on the way. Today, going to be in the vicinity of some records like we were over the last couple of days. Banjo's barometer, he's going with a 7 today because the fire danger's up a little bit. There are some changes between what we've got on the way today and what we had yesterday. And I think one of those things is going to be wind kind of on the larger scale, more persistent. 25 to 40 mile per hour gusts in the afternoon over the mountains, some 20 to 35 mile per hour gusts along the interstate and then out across the plains, least wind out across the far eastern plains here. Humidity levels really, really low later on today. That's why we have red flag warnings in effect. Yesterday, we had some of that gusty wind, a lot of virga showers out there. We did get a couple areas where we had some sprinkles. But on the way this week, we've got a cold front coming in from the north thanks to that wave, and then chance of some moisture for the middle part of the week. So here's how Skycast plays out. We'll be partly cloudy today in the afternoon. Again, some virga. If you catch a shower, consider yourself pretty lucky there as we head into the afternoon. Really not overly excited about that. So that's something that, you know, we'll at least pay attention to, but there might be some localized gusts to contend with. Early tomorrow morning, things change. We'll have 50s south of the Arkansas River. Cold front will be coming in from the north. Big mountain valleys will again be the chilly spots, but look at the cool down for Tuesday. That's thanks to that cold front coming in. And it'll move in from the north overnight. So by the time we hit tomorrow morning, it'll kind of be sitting on the Palmer Divide, and then it'll move to the south of there through the morning. So east of the mountains in particular, watch for a breezy morning. Ahead of the cold front, we'll probably get some gusty wind around Walsenburg and Trinidad, but then we'll swing that wind around out of the east as we head into the afternoon and kind of do a fight between that warmer air mass over the mountain areas and the cooler air over the plains. And as we head into Wednesday, it gets even cooler than that by another step down with some 40s and 50s over the mountains, best chance of 60s over the southeast plains. And this first system for the week is going to bring us a chance of showers. It'll just be scattered Tuesday afternoon. I can't rule out something late across the Front Range. Notice it's the mountain areas where it's more likely to be snow. And as we head into Wednesday, that coverage increases, and we actually see the snow level drop down to around 8,500 feet. Moving through the day on Wednesday, notice that we start to see some showers, or at least a chance of them, out across the far eastern plains. This early week system, not a great chance of moisture here for a lot of us, but late in the day Wednesday, we might see a couple thunderstorms fire up across the far eastern plains, and we'll get a chance across the Front Range and then quiet things down here as we head into the back part of Wednesday night. But if you're driving up over some of the mountain areas, there will be some snow to contend with. So at least there's a chance early. Then we have another system on the way for Friday and Saturday. The good news with this is that it looks like Easter weekend is going to be okay. Didn't it look like that kind of all of last week and until the start of the weekend here? And Saturday morning, I actually put a post out, kind of hit it pretty hard. Looked like Easter morning was not going to be great. Well, that's changed now. I think we get that system out of here, and with the late week system, Pueblo, our chance of showers not as good as what we'll have across parts of the eastern plains. Here's why. Here's the energy with the system. Underneath it, I've got the clouds and precipitation. I want to focus on the timing. It's Friday when it moves through the area. Then we get it out of here for the weekend. So that's good news. We're in northwest flow. We'll be a little bit breezy, but quiet for Saturday and for Sunday. Let's talk about how things may play out as of now. Mountain areas will see the snow move in Thursday night into Friday morning. It's a colder system than the one that moves in Tuesday into Wednesday. And so better chance of accumulating snow for more areas in the mountains. And as we head into late Friday and we get some rain and snow to develop, I even think over the mountains southwest of Pueblo and the higher terrain of the Pikes Peak region, we get some snow to stick as well. We get that system out of here by early Saturday. Early look at snow numbers. I'm not going to put numbers on here. I do have a legend on here. But you can see for the mountains something like 2 to 6 inches and maybe a few inches of snow across the higher terrain of the Pikes Peak region and even maybe in parts of Colorado Springs. So that would be something that I think would be welcome. It's been a little bit since we've had a storm like that. Want to say hi to some of you this morning. We've got Naoma is checking in. She says good morning. Sally says good morning and thanks for everything. Teresa says this good morning as well. And Mike says howdy y'all. Nice to see all of you. I appreciate you tuning in and sharing Peaks2Plains Weather. If you haven't downloaded the Peaks2Plains Weather app yet, you should do so. Here's how you can do that. You can use this QR code and please share it with your friends. I would appreciate that. You know, Peaks2Plains Weather is our weather together, and that's what kind of makes it go, right? It's neighbors helping neighbors. Also want to give a shout out this morning before I'm done to Advanced Impressions. Advanced Impressions is the company that has some of my merch on Peaks2PlainsWeather.com, and I want to share this t-shirt with you. Right, just white t-shirt, but the drop on the back, I know lots of you love this drop. You can get those on Peaks2PlainsWeather.com. This has been a popular one as well with the, the little beanie with the drop on it. I designed this drop to kind of be something that looked a little bit cool. That's why I kind of put it behind me here. And, Peaks2Plains Weather is a growing movement. Thanks for being a part of it. That's the weather today. Anytime you need the forecast, you can do so at Peaks2PlainsWeather.com. Just a reminder for you, that is there anytime you need it. And I'm going to do some updates to that this morning. So with that, at 6:46, we'll call it a day here on Mornings with Meister. I'll see you tomorrow morning live at 6:30 as well here on social media, on YouTube, in the Peaks2Plains Weather app, Peaks2PlainsWeather.com, wherever I am. Wherever you are, that's where I am. That's what I meant to say. Have a good day.